another tool that I'm going to be using for linear perspective is basically a push pin that has a string tied to it. And so the idea behind this, I'll show you guys. I was cheating a little bit, warming up in advance. So this is the sketchbook drawing that I did before the stream began, and this is the view of the image on the lower left corner. So the concept behind this is that if you guys have the push pin, you put the push pin wherever you think the vanishing point is, and then you basically take the string and you just move it around wherever you think you might need it with this hand. And then in theory, I could go in and trace some of these lines just like that. Of course, if you guys don't want to do the, whoa, that was not right. If you guys don't want to do the string, you don't have to. I find that it's a little bit faster and more malleable than say, well, I don't know what this thing is, but all I thought was I got to grab the first straight edge. And this was sitting on my desk, so I don't have a ruler. So if you guys wanted to, you can certainly do this with a ruler. I just find that the push pin and the string is just so fast. And it's also good if you guys ever want to work on a really big scale and you have vanishing points off the edges. But this is just a really nice, simple trick that is not difficult and is also very, very fast. Okay, so what we're going to do first, though, we're going to do some drawing, okay? Actually, this linear perspective stuff that I'm showing you now, this is not the first thing you do. Like a lot of people would, I think, make the assumption, if we're going to do the drawing of the linear perspective, people might look at the photo. So let's actually start with this one. Let me show you guys the one we're going to start with. We're going to do this one, which is of the little boy. Probably those creepy little twins are around the corner waiting for him. But I chose this one for the first image because it's just really straightforward and obvious where the perspective is. The other two photos we have are not so obvious. But what I did was in the slideshow, I overlay all of the various components, the vanishing lines, horizon line, vanishing point, so that way you guys can see exactly what to look for. So I think a lot of people might look at this and say, oh, okay, well, I've got my paper here, so why don't I find the vanishing line and do it? No, we're not going to do that, guys. That's not how it works. Let me show you how we're going to do it, and I think you'll be very surprised at how different it is than a lot of people would assume. Okay, I'm going to get out my reference images. And I'm going to start with this pastel pencil. I'm going to use like a middle gray. I don't like starting with a dark gray because it's just too harsh for a pencil. So just a nice light gray is pretty good. And the first thing I would say to you guys, when you begin a linear perspective drawing, you guys have to draw small. Most people, when they're drawing a space, they don't realize how tiny you have to draw. Like a lot of people draw it way, way too big. So this might seem excessively small, but you need that. Like it's easier to do a linear perspective scene if you guys draw it smaller. If you try to draw it too big, you're going to have a lot of trouble with that. Okay. So what I'm doing right now is, in essence, I'm basically doing a gesture drawing, but the difference is that it's a space. But the way that I'm mapping it out is pretty much the way I would be doing a figure drawing. I know that sounds really weird, but really that's what we're doing today. We're doing gesture drawings. It's just they happen to have space and linear perspective in them. And so one of the things I'm looking at is you have this door up here, and it's just a straight vertical right through the boy, okay? Now, another concept I want you guys to have today, I want you to all pretend that you have X-ray vision. So does everybody see I drew the vertical line through the boy? A lot of people would say, oh, well, but the boy's here, I can't do that. This is the key. If you guys want to learn how to draw space and more complicated interiors, this is the key, having X-ray vision, seeing architecture through figures, seeing the architecture through the objects. Okay, so does everybody see this little planter? For me, it lines up about the top of the boy's head. And this is also so similar to anatomy in that this is really comparisons, like saying, okay, how tall is the boy compared to the planter? And if I look at the planter, this is where that like very dark, I guess, I don't know if that's the elevator. It's where that dark area comes in, okay? And then if you guys look at this, there are like 4 doors. So there's like one here that comes down, and these are all straight verticals, okay? They are not doing anything other than just being straight up parallel vertical lines. And then notice that the 2 that are back here, that they get really close to each other. Okay, so does everybody see that? So that's just the very beginning. And then you look for landmarks. Like you guys see, this is the boy, okay? And then I see there's like a little trash can that's a little bit higher than him. I guess it's like about here. So I know this looks strange because you're like, but Clara, where's the linear perspective? You know what? We're not doing that yet. we're just trying to like feel our way around. We're not trying to make it right or accurate. We're just trying to like put things in place and say, well, it might be here, might be there, and then we'll have something to actually go on. Okay. Now here, does everybody see these lamps? So there's like a little lamp here, slightly bigger one. And again, these are all approximations. I'm not measuring anything right now. Okay. And then for the carpet, I'm just going to put an approximation about there. I have a feeling this is probably a little bit too far that way, but that's okay. We'll just stop there and take a look at that. Okay, so that's a really, really basic me just feeling my way around the space. Let me do a little bit more, and then I will stop and take a look at comments and see what you guys are wondering today. Who's going to draw along with me? Who's going to get their butt kicked in terms of linear perspective? I mean, today's lesson's hard. Okay, so if you are like, what? This is a really hard lesson. Like, this is the lesson that I would do with sophomores at RISD in the illustration department, and it would take us all semester to figure this stuff out. And I would do a little bit of it with freshmen, but we didn't incorporate perspective. It really was much more about space. But drawing spaces, it's hard, you guys. It's not an easy skill to have. Okay, let me take a quick break and see what you guys are saying in the chat. Let me actually switch up the contrast. I think it's a little bit hard to see right now. Okay, that will be a little bit easier. And let me just change the focus since now I have something on the page. Okay. Maria says, I have to confess that I probably am not good at perspective because when I sketch, I rarely stop to think about where the eye level is. You know what, Maria? I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm just thinking, okay, what are the biggest lines that are really gonna help me organize this space? Because to me, this line that comes down, this is where that like very dark area comes in, and then this planter, and then like the edge where the floor is, some of the patterning, the boy, that's more important to me right now than the eye level. I mean, I will get to the eye level eventually, but right now, the eye level, the horizon line, has not even crossed my mind right now. I'm just doing this entirely on observation. It's all approximation. My feeling is approximating with your eye, feeling it around, and then going in with the string and the push pin and fixing things up is a lot faster. I mean, could you guys imagine if I just started with this? I don't know where I would begin if I had to do it like that. Soyton Lee says, is it National The Shining Day? A friend of mine was giving me a hard time today for never seeing the movie. Okay, so now you guys have to tell me who has seen The Shining. It's got Jack Nicholson, and it's quintessential horror film by Stanley Kubrick. And who has not seen The Shining? And who here has seen parodies but has never seen the actual film? So let's find out, because I watched it and actually did not have it spoiled, which is incredible because most people watch The Shining and they already know what the spoiler is. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but anyway. Hutchin is saying, what's your future plan besides Art Prof? You're good at teaching. Will you go back to college to teach for the near future? I hope Art Prof makes a profit soon. That's a great question. For now, I don't have any plans to go back to university teaching because I'm just really trying to go 1,000% into Art Prof, see if I can get it to a more stable place so that we can do even more for you guys. So I'm going to give it a shot. It's possible I might. I'm not going to close off any options at all, but we'll see. I have no idea. And Phoebe says, I've never seen it, but I've seen clips of Family Guy parodying it. I know that's so common. Like, a lot of people see the parody before they see the real thing. And Tom G is asking, in landscape painting, is linear perspective more difficult or less? I'm guessing it's harder with larger figures, mountains. Okay, that's a great question. Linear perspective, 1.2.3 point, it only works with geometry, buildings, cylinders, things like that. And so if you have a landscape, something that's very organic and unpredictable in terms of form, you will not have linear perspective. What you would use instead is something called atmospheric perspective, which is a concept which deals with showing depth in terms of making things more articulate, more blurry based on their location in the space. And we do have a video on atmospheric perspective. Starving Artist says, this hallway image seems quite doable, but not so confident with the other two. That's why this is the warm-up, okay? We're just going to do a little bit of this one. I'm going to walk you guys through the whole process, and then we're going to tackle the other two, which have very different scenarios. And this is a good comment from Slepnir, who says, I think by doing gesture drawing, it looks less mechanical. That's a great point. And honestly, you guys, I'm not here to make a mechanical, technical drawing. I'm here to make a drawing, okay? That's what people forget. They make the assumption that, oh, because it's a linear perspective drawing, it's got to look like it was drawn with drafting tools. It's got, no, you can have linear perspective look extraordinarily expressive. It can look painterly. So what I'm trying to show you guys is that the linear perspective is just one little piece of the puzzle. It's not everything, and it does not dictate your stylistic choices. You decide yourself how you guys want to actually do that. Angie says, this is already the best tutorial on perspective. I will not argue with you, Angie. The lines and boxes and other crap that every other tutorial starts with only confuses people. Cool. All right, guys. So let me show you what we're going to do. We're still not going to do the string yet, okay? What I want to do is start to figure out what I really need to show. Okay, so does everybody see this? Okay, I'm going to make it darker so you guys can really see. Okay, so this is that like really like dark part. Actually, let me just do, I will pull out the pastels here because I think this will just help you guys in terms of really like, I need to break this, in terms of really like seeing the landmarks, because that's really what I'm after right now. I'm trying to see landmarks. Like, what is the part of the scene that really stands out to me? And for me, this big, like dark, deep shadow is a big part of that. So is this shape here. And so like this edge of this planter, to me, that's a landmark that I can search for. Okay, the boy is also a landmark. So just really briefly, I'm going to make him a little bit more pronounced. He's got his little shoes here, like that. Okay, so we have this landmark, we have this landmark here. And actually, this whole section here is very dark. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to cover this whole section with the new pastel, just as an indication that this is like separate from that. So some of you guys may have heard me talk about zones in a space. So like this is a zone that I'm doing right now. And then here is that section up there. Okay, I'm going to put the planter back in. We're not going to spend that much time on this, but I just want to walk you guys through it so that way the next one you'll know what I'm looking for. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to look at, does everybody see this part of the ceiling? It's pretty visible. Like I really see this angle. There's almost this like little box here. So I put the light way too high. So I'm actually going to move the light more to there. And actually, this is like the edge of the paper. So I'm just going to draw a line. So we know that's the edge of the image. And the light is there. And I'm going to approximate it out there. And then if I look at the height of this door, the height of that door in the back, it's pretty low. So if I approximate this, it's quite small. I think I made it too wide. Okay, and then this is the line that goes through the boy. And this is that like trash can that's on the side. There's another door here. So it's like in the scheme of things, this is what pops out to me. You guys can decide on your own what you think the landmarks are, but as far as me mapping out the space, these are the points that I think I can't live without. And so that's what you're trying to do, is to figure out, okay, what is the actual landscape of that? So I'm just going to toss in a little bit of blue. It does help to have a little bit of color, I think, sometimes when you're just getting started. Okay. So now I can see, I just want to approximate a little bit more because I moved around those lights quite a bit. All right. And then down here, there's quite a bit, and I got to put back in these parts of the carpet. Okay, and actually this section of the planter, it's pretty dark. I'm just trying to show people that, like, okay, this is a dark section. This is the light section. Like that. Okay, and then in theory, I guess I would have more of the vanishing lines coming out over here. Let me just fill in more of this like zone so you don't get confused. That. Okay, so that's my second pass. I might do a tiny bit more. I don't know. I'm almost ready to add all of the push pin string stuff. There is this little thing that sticks out, so I'm just going to suggest this right here. Okay, do you guys see how much I did? I have not done any measuring. We have not talked about any of that stuff. Now I'm going to do it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my push pin and I'm going to approximate where I think it might be. Okay, so if I really look at the image, this is what you guys have to do. You can't see me doing this, but what I have in front of me is the reference photo, and I have the string, and I'm like really looking at the angle. Like really, I think I didn't make this go up enough. So I'm actually going to change the angle of that, which actually totally changes this. So let's move that little trash can, because I could sort of tell from the perspective in the string that wasn't working so well. Okay, so that's another nice thing, is with this you can sort of approximate. Okay, so I'm gonna let's just guess. Let's just say, okay, I think it's about there. I mean, it's like dead middle of that. Okay, so does everybody see that? So based on this, my horizon line is about in here. Okay, now this one is very easy. Okay, this is just a straight vertical that's going right through the boy. So let's fix all of my other things. So I could say, okay, well, that's about that section of the carpet. This is about here. And so I'm not redrawing things as much as I am just trying to make sure that they're where I want them to be. Okay, and that one looks okay. So let's just lock that in. But this is very helpful here. Does everybody see? This was actually tougher for me to do because it was like the pot was in the way. So what I'm going to do right now, we're going to do X-ray vision. Does everybody see? I just drew the line right through the planter. This is so helpful because then you can really see, okay, how do these things connect? Like if you guys just try to draw around the planter, it's actually much, much harder. Okay, so now I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do the top of these doorways. And I think they're at a more severe angle. I think I made them too short. So I'm going to actually have them come all the way up to here. Because if this is the vanishing line, in theory, the top of the doors comes around here like that. Okay, so do you guys see? I use the line to figure out where the tops of those doors would be. And I can come up here, and this is like the difference between the ceiling. And I think this side, yeah, that's about right. Like that. Okay. So does everybody see that not a lot of this is in the perspective? I spent way more time looking with my eyes, trying to capture the whole thing, thinking about the gesture. This was such a small piece of that. This was almost cosmetic. And so this is where the linear perspective, it doesn't play as big of a role as people think. I think a lot of people think, oh, it's the ruler, it's the measuring, it's a compass, it's all. No, if this is why you guys, above all, what you guys want to really learn to do is to see and to look. If you can do that, all these other things are going to fall into place. Now, if I look at this image, I can already see I'm having an issue here. Everybody look at this. In the photo, the boy's head, it's definitely below. I'll call it the trash can. But it's not that low. Like to me, the boy is actually more up here, which is too high. But then if I do that, that means the planter has to move up. So instead, I'm going to leave the boy and the planter, and I'm going to move this thing. So that's another thing is sometimes you have to decide like, okay, what is the thing I'm going to bother to move? So I usually just say to myself, okay, what is the thing that is the least amount of work? So if I look at the boy, let me just fill in his hair. So it doesn't quite line up. It's a little bit higher. So I'm actually going to put the trash can here. And it's not that tall. I think it's a lot smaller than I drew it. So actually, out of everything that I drew, the thing that I sort of had trouble with placing was this trash can. Okay, and so now the trash can's here. And then the door that is behind the trash can is actually over here. And I'm just going to pull out the edge of my image more. So does everybody see? This is where I put that doorway. In the beginning, it was here. But then because I moved this, I had to move this. And the way I found the trash can was I saw it in relation to the boy. This is so much more important, you guys, than all that vanishing line stuff. That stuff's important. But if you don't look at where's the planter in relation to the boy, where's the boy in relation to the door, nothing really matters that much. So let me just do a little bit more. These three lights, they're pretty close to each other. It's not until we get here that that one's a little further away. And this one's a lot bigger. So I'm going to make that one larger and maybe make the tops of these doors just more obvious because I do want to show the perspective in the tops. And then this gets trickier because this part of the door goes in, but then there's like this other section that pulls out. It's a little bit small. Okay. And then does everybody see there's these like two little like tall things that are next to that door in the back? Like those are important. Those are landmarks like this. Okay. Now, just really briefly, I'm not going to do it, but I'm sure you guys are wondering about this rug. This is how I would do it. Okay. So we have these vanishing lines, and that's handy. And probably what I would do is just look at, okay, where do these hexagons line up? Like there's this one that sort of lines up with his backside. And then the next row is by his shoulder, like that. And then the next row is like a little bit near his head. Okay, so basically what I'm doing right now, I just made like a little checkerboard. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to like approximate those hexagons, but I'm not going to draw them as hexagons. I'm going to draw them like this. I know you guys are going to think I'm crazy. I'm going to just draw these like little oval things. I know, it's like, what? What are you doing, Clara? Actually, this one's too severe. So let me put my push pin back. I think I made that one a little bit too much to the left. Okay, so now I should erase this one so I don't get confused, like that. Okay, and so now I'm gonna say, okay, well, there's about a hexagon here. There's about one here. The next one's around here. So yes, I know these are not hexagons, but you know what, you guys? Placing the hexagons, in my opinion, is much more important than getting the angle of every single hexagon perfect. So I'm going to approximate this one. There's another one that's by the planter. And then from here, I can now approximate what's going on like that. And then in theory, if I were to spend more time on this drawing, I mean, this is where it gets really fun. You get to start doing stuff like this, where you add more lines, and then this becomes the edge of that hexagon. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just draw one hexagon for you guys, and then you'll see how, in theory, you would go and do the rest. So I'd have another line that comes down this way. And so this hexagon would end up being like this. I'll just draw it darker so you guys can see it. And these are all on the vanishing lines, all this stuff. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to do this right now, but you guys can see, like, this is on a vanishing line. This is on a vanishing line. So is this, all those things. This is as well. So you're starting to identify, okay, where are, like, this is also a vanishing line there as well. Okay. All right. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Oh, this is a great way to put it. Joe says, so it's like in portrait and human figure, draw inside to out. I'm so glad you said that, Joe, because I hear a lot of people, they say, I'm really good at drawing unicorns, but I cannot draw fish. My feeling is that whether you're drawing a unicorn or a fish, it's sort of the same thing. Because you guys can see what I'm doing now. A lot of people would not think that you might draw a hallway in a similar way to how you draw a portrait, but actually it's not that different, you guys. All the stuff about approximating, making changes, making adjustments, that's not any different than what I would be doing in a portrait drawing. Lisa says, so basically you have to draw it fairly accurately by eye first, then tweak with string. Yes, but the one thing I would say, Lisa, it doesn't have to be that accurate, okay? I didn't have to make a lot of changes to mine because this is such an obvious, straightforward one-point perspective situation. But you guys will see the next two drawings, whichever one we end up doing, they're not as easy as this one. Like, this scene is very straightforward as far as linear perspective. There's going to be others where it's like, oh man, that's really wonky. I got to like fix that, okay? Fab Geek is saying, do you use the string more to, quote, fix the drawing? Exactly, that's it, okay? Now, that said, though, you have to work on your observational skills. You have to know, okay, what should I emphasize? Does everybody see? Look at what a difference it made to color in this section, okay? That was a way for me to divide the space and to say, okay, this is one zone. And actually, let me show you guys really quickly here. In theory, if I was going to work on this more, what I would end up doing eventually is something like this, where I would absolutely go in and I would tone the color coming in on this side. Actually, the planter is pretty dark here as well, so I'm going to just make this whole section like really, really dark. And then what you guys can see here is like, this is a zone, this is a zone, and this is a zone. And so really what this image comes down to, everybody thinks it's about vanishing lines. It's not. It's about saying, this is a shape, that's a shape, and that's a shape. And that's how you guys want to be thinking about that. Miss Frezia says, what kind of colored pencil is the blue that you used? It looks so vibrant. It's actually not a colored pencil. It is a pastel pencil. So this is the set that I have. It's Conté of Paris. And I like these pastel pencils because they're softer than colored pencils. So I can combine them with big pieces of chalk pastel, but they're also pretty easy to control because it's a pencil. And at least for me, while I love using pieces of chalk like this, this is not great for linear perspective. Like in linear perspective, I need control. And so having the pastel pencil, this is a nice compromise. Like it's not a pencil, but it's also not like a chunk of chalk like this, which can be a little bit hard. Annanin says, it's always so challenging for me to focus on the big picture and not the details. That's everybody. It's really hard to see past details, you guys. That's the hardest thing. I was talking to Kathy Speranza about that in her pencil drawing tutorial, Drawing Roses. And we were talking about how the issue with those rose drawings is that people look at it and they go, oh my God, there's so many petals. There's all these nooks and crannies. How do I organize this? But you can't let yourself get distracted by that. You have to say, okay, that's a zone, that's a zone, and that's a zone. So to see the space simple first is really important. Blue Wren is asking, I just discovered the work of Armando Bev. Did you teach him at RISD? I did not. I've seen his name around. I think he might be a little bit younger than me. But yeah, I mean, I have taught a lot of people. So it's actually sort of rare when I'm like, nope, I don't know them. It's sort of unusual. Tom G says the height of the observer and eye level makes a difference then. Child perspective versus adult, lying on the floor versus a ladder. Absolutely. So let's talk about that, okay? So let's say my horizon line is about here, okay? I'm going to actually tape this down so I can explain how this works. Because remember, you have to put yourself in the scene. So let's pretend I'm at the hotel and I'm with this kid and Jack Nicholson is going crazy, okay? But the creepy little twins are around the corner, okay? If this is my eye level, which, by the way, it's the exact same thing as the horizon line. It's the same thing. Eye level equals horizon line. Okay, so if my eyes are here, am I standing above the boy or am I the same height? I'm not. Like if I was the same height as the boy, my eye level would be all the way down here and I'd be looking at it very differently. I'm not. So I would assume if I'm in the scene and I'm an average sized adult, I'm probably standing up. I'm not on a ladder. I'm not on the floor. And so this is where it's important to think about that point of view. And Charisma says, I feel like I'm making the entire thing more curved than it should be. You know what, you guys, honestly, don't sweat the accuracy thing. I know that people want to get it to a point where it's convincing, but here's my feeling. You got to start somewhere. it's fine. Like, you guys have to do a lot of pretty crappy drawings for this to really make sense. I mean, this drawing that I'm doing is not fabulous, but this is a working drawing. This is a drawing that I'm doing to understand this stuff. Like, I'm not actually trying to make it look good at this stage. But the thing is, by doing all of these like working drawings, once I've done like 20 of these, then I can sit down and I can say, okay, now I really do want to focus on making it look good. So I would say, you guys, if you don't have a lot of experience with linear perspective, don't try to make good drawings, make working drawings, drawings where you're teaching and you're learning about what's going on. Neil says, how do you draw the tile pattern in perspective? I mean, it would be, I mean, I probably would literally draw a checkerboard floor. It would take forever and ever and ever. You can, but I think it's sort of like what I was saying before, that you have to figure out which part of the pattern is on a vanishing line. In this case, these lines that I'm drawing with blue, those are all on vanishing lines, okay? These are not, okay? And so you have to recognize that, and that will make a lot more sense. Hey, Dylan, they're saying, I can never stand to do architecture because I hate straight lines. You know what? I don't like them either, but I'm doing architecture. Here's the thing, you guys, when you draw architecture, you don't have to be an architect to draw art. Like, you can draw architecture however you want to draw it. Like, don't tell yourself because it's architecture, because it has perspective, it has to be accurate. It doesn't have to be that way. Like I showed you guys, there was an Anselm Kiefer painting in the perspective video I did a little ways back, and that didn't look accurate at all. I mean, it looked like it was like covered in mud. I mean, there was definitely linear perspective in there, but it was not remotely precise. So don't ever make the assumption that because you're drawing linear perspective, oh, I need to draw it a certain way. You don't. It's just part of the structure of how you're putting together the piece. I want to say thank you so much to Tom G for the super chat. Tom says, class is in session, fun. Awesome, cool. Thank you so much for your contribution. You guys, any amount you can contribute to help Art Prof stay up and running is so incredibly useful. So thank you so much for that super chat. Okay, let's do another image. So let's do Jack Nicholson, because you know what's going to happen if I do the one of the female character. What's her name? I can't remember. Somebody's going to have to remind me. I worry that I'm just going to think about the face. I feel like I'm cheating. So let's do the hotel lobby with Jack Nicholson and see how that works. And actually for this, you know what I think would be fun, you guys? Isn't this hilarious? This orange paper is like the exact same color as those poles in the lobby. So let's just do this, just to have some fun. Samin says, how does lighting work in linear perspective? It works the same way it works any other way. You look at where's the direction of the light, which direction are the shadows casting? Am I looking at a cast shadow? Am I looking at a form shadow? I would just recommend you guys, just tell yourselves that drawing things, if it's a unicorn or a frog, it's the same thing, you guys, okay? All right. We're going to do the image that's at the bottom, okay? So I don't remember, this seems like the beginning of the scene. This is probably like before everything goes to crap. So, okay. Let's start, this might be a little, oh, that's too light. Maybe, okay, we'll use this one. All right, now again, remember, those of you guys who are drawing with me, draw small. All right. Most people, when they draw spaces, they draw way too big, and then it's just really hard to handle. Okay. So the yellow curtains in the back, I'm going to make them pretty small. I'm going to just start with this back line, which is like the top of that area with the yellow curtain. So I would say the yellow curtain, I'm just going to put it here. Keep it pretty small. That might actually be too big. It's always better if you guys are starting on linear perspective, you don't have a lot of experience, better smaller than bigger. Bigger is a lot harder to manage than smaller. Okay. So let's just say for reference, so you guys can see what I'm drawing, I'm just going to put the drape of that. Who can tell me, see if you guys did your homework, what fold is in this curtain? I would like to know who has been doing the homework. You guys didn't know there was a pop quiz. All right. And what I'm going to do now, there are these like 3 posts. There's one here, and one here. This one is gigantic. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at, okay, here are the curtains. This one is a lot higher. So I would approximate the top of this post is about here. And it's definitely beneath this area. So I have to come down to at least here. So does everybody see? That's how I figured out the height of this post. It was in relation to the drapes. I didn't just arbitrarily put something down, like I was relating it to something else in the image. Okay, and so let's just approximate maybe about there for the bottom. And actually the other post is going to have the exact same bottom. So I'm just going to go across like this. I guess it's about symmetrical. I'm looking at the spaces that are in between. Remember, spatial intervals. That's what we're looking for. And then this too, this is also going to line up. All right. You're looking at where do things line up? What's higher? What's lower? Those are the relationships you guys want to try to find. Okay. So we have that. Let me actually turn down the contrast a little bit so you guys can see this better. Yeah, that'll look better. Okay. And I probably should get these vanishing lines in here sooner rather than later. So there's 2 here and here. And I'm just approximating the angle. Like I would say it's not like that. It's more like that. And this one too. I mean, these are not super dramatic scenes. All right. And then I think let's use Jack Nicholson to help us out, because what I'm trying to do is figure out where this line is. But does everybody see how his foot overlaps that line? And then if I look at his head, okay, here's the drapery. Who knows what fold it is? Who knows? Charisma got it. It's the diaper fold. Good job, you guys. Okay. So Jack Nicholson's head is about here. I'm looking at it because this is like the bottom of the drape and his head is definitely higher. So that's about his head. And I guess this is the bottom of his coat. I'm just approximating right now. I'm not really trying to get it right. And if I approximate his leg, I know the proportions are wonky, but I'm not worried about that right now. I'm just trying to put him somewhere and then I'll go back and fix it. I think what you guys are noticing, it's easier to go back and fix stuff that's off than to say, oh, I want to nail it the first time through. Like, I can't do that, you guys. That's just really hard. Okay, so if that's about where his foot is, that means that that's where that opening part is. Oh, but that seems like, oh, maybe this is too low. Oh, it is, because this line is a little higher because I see it's like connecting to his thigh. Okay, so that means I'm going to actually move this post up. I made it a little bit too low, like that. Okay. And now I got to put the big post in here. So I'm going to look at the distance between here and here. Oh, geez, that feels too wide. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move this over. So you guys, this is why you should never, with a linear perspective situation, try to like finish anything, because does everybody see I keep moving things around? Like I totally thought this post was down here, but then I changed my mind. And so this is why it's like, it's not worth making anything look good. It's much better for this to look crappy so that if I have to fix it, it's not a big deal. Okay. Actually, I think it should be even closer. Oh, crap. Now I have to move Jack. All right. He hasn't been in a movie in a while, although I like never pay attention to movies anymore. But he looks so young in this movie. It's like really weird. Okay, so actually his face is more here, so let's move him over. I'm going to put him over here. Come on, Jack. This is before you went AWOL on your wife and your poor kid. Okay. Who here likes horror movies? Because I never liked them when I was a kid, although I think it was more because my parents wouldn't let me watch them. So I don't know that it's that I didn't like them as much as I just didn't watch them. But then I watched Aliens #2, the old one with Sigourney Weaver. I think I watched that in college and I was like hooked. I was like, oh my God, I love this. This is just great. Okay, so that's a little bit better. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to continue this line. And you see there's like a little window thing back here. So I'm going to say, okay, maybe this big post is about there. And as everybody see, this is his back leg. And if I look at this post, it ends a little bit below his leg. Okay, so if I'm going to approximate that as the bottom, and let's just do another vertical line. Again, all the lines are parallel in 1 point and 2 point perspective. So you can always count on that. It's nice because you don't have to worry about like, oh, what's the, you don't. You just know that every vertical in here, they're all parallel. It's really nice. And look, we got another little creepy pointer thing. I suppose that's just the decor of the hotel. All right. Let's put in the chandelier because that's another part that I need. And then maybe like the top of the chandelier, you see this little thing. And I'm looking at it. Does everybody see? So this is the top of the post and the top of the chandelier is above. Everything's in relation. Never draw one part by itself. You have to look at those things and how they relate to each other. Okay, really briefly, I'm going to do a little bit of this cylinder shape. I'm going to pull out a little more of that. And I'm going to push this outwards more because you know what? There's another like window thing. And actually, there's another chandelier here. I didn't even see that. Okay. Oh, and you notice there's a little chair here. I didn't even see that either. Weird. Okay, there's a little chair. And did you guys notice there's two little, I think they're women, I have no idea, but there's two figures here that are behind Jack Nicholson, and I'm just gonna make a little blob back here to insinuate that they're there. Show a little bit of the shape of these windows behind those two figures. And then, oh, there's another chair that's like in front of them, like that. Okay, now the final touch, you guys, is this waiter. This guy is really going to help us out in terms of space. If he wasn't in here, the space would not be remotely as easy to do. So his head to me, it's much smaller than Jack Nicholson's because he's way further back. And if I look at his leg in relation to the bottom of this window, that front leg swings forward and this one goes back. And I did a good job here, guys. Do you see this? That's the bottom of the post and this is the bottom of his leg. So these line up. So there, I know I did a good job with that. Awesome. Very cool. All right. Does everybody see how helpful it is to have people in the scene? Because we got Jack Nicholson before he went AWOL. We have the waiter. He's in the middle ground. And we have these two little figures in the background who are like way further back in space. So because we have them foreground, middle ground, and background, this is so incredibly helpful, you guys. Like if we were drawing this space and there were no people in it, I find it much, much harder to do. And so that's another reason why generic buildings that all have square windows, it doesn't work. Like you need to populate the space and it makes it easier. So I'm like, okay, I'm all for making things a lot easier. I want to say thank you so much to Anonin for the super sticker. We greatly appreciate your support. You know, when you guys contribute, you're not just helping us keep Art Prof up and running, you're helping people who can't afford to pay for an art class, because there's a lot of you out there, and that's why I started Art Prof to begin with. So thank you so much for supporting us and all those artists who need you out there helping. Neil says, what about trying to draw perspective from your imagination, like when you're trying to make an original interior or cityscape composition? We'll have to do a draw along on that, Neil, because that's a whole other can of worms. In my opinion, it's better to start with this, because this gets you to like look at a space and break it down and understand what is where. Use something concrete. Now, when you guys are ready to make a cityscape from imagination, it's going to make a lot more sense. So I would start with this, do a whole bunch of these, and when you start to feel like, okay, I'm getting this, then I think I would go and create the imaginary cityscape. Because a lot of people, a lot of teachers will do this. They'll just say, okay, everybody, we have a sheet of paper. I want everybody to draw the horizon line. Okay, now let's do the vanishing point. Okay, now we're going to do this. Okay, and that's one way to start. But do you guys see how this is so much more about drawing than it is the other way of actually go about doing that? And Emily says, I'd also love draw along on perspective from imagination. Using reference photos can help, but I found I often need to invent the relationships between things. You do, but I think you guys, you're jumping the gun. We got to nail this first, okay? Because I had somebody else who was talking to me about anatomy, and they said, well, I really want to learn the muscles. And I said, listen, you have to get a grip on the bones. Like the muscles are not going to help you if you guys don't have like a really firm grasp on those bones. It's the same thing. I want to say thank you so much to Jasmine for the super sticker. We greatly appreciate your support. You guys are just the greatest community. Tom is asking, do you always keep your paper in a static position, or do you move it to do different angles? Or is it just done due to the filming aspect for YouTube? I'm always moving the paper. You can, if it helps you. I don't, because I just get really disoriented. And honestly, with this, I can just move this around with my hand. I mean, I can see how if you have a straight edge, that does make me want to angle my paper more. But you can see with the string, because I'm moving it like that, it's really just not necessary. Ayane's asking, is this a 2-hour stream? Honestly, I never know. I just keep going until I feel like I've actually maybe taught you guys something in the end. So yeah, but usually I would say on average, these draw along streams, they tend to be about 80 minutes or so. Sometimes as a painting stream, I'll go longer, but I usually don't go longer than 2 hours because, you know, at that point, my brain is sort of mush. Okay, let me evaluate this one more time, and then we'll do some of the string work. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to just try to like show some things that I want to like pop out, like those landmarks that I talked about earlier. So like in this last one, this was a landmark. That was the boy, the planter, these doors. I'm looking for those things that are going to help pop those things out. So I'm going to get the post stronger. These like horizontals, especially this back here. Like this is a very grounding element. See, like the chandelier to me, that's not really that important. But this is, because this is very dark, and also it shows where those two figures are. So I guess I made the figures too big. They're actually a lot smaller. But I just want to show this like T shape. So I have that a little bit more solid. And same thing here too. Like this is pretty dark. And here as well, let's just draw right through that pole. Remember, X-ray vision, Superman. I guess we don't have a Superman mega fan on staff. I mean, he's fine. Superman's fine, but he's not like Spider-Man is to Jordan. Actually, those of you guys who have watched Avatar, The Last Airbender. Those of you guys who are fans, you'll be happy to know that I started watching Avatar with my younger daughter, and I think we're on like episode 5, and she really likes it. So I think we're gonna watch the whole thing. Yeah. So that'll be fun. It was so funny because I was watching it. I was like, oh my God, I have to tell. Jordan's going to freak when he sees that I'm like watching Avatar. But so here's the thing though. Now Jordan owes me Doctor Strange because I'm kind of really upset that he's never seen Doctor Strange. That's wrong. Well, I guess it's different. If you don't have a crush on Benedict, it's fine, right? You're not really missing out. Well, I think you are, but anyway. Okay. More squinting. Are you guys noticing that, like, we do all these different things? We're drawing roses, we're drawing linear perspective, we're doing the human figure, we're doing anatomy. You guys noticing that it's like almost the same 3 things, no matter what? I'm always squinting, I'm always looking, I'm jumping around. Like, these are all such essential things. It does not matter what you guys are drawing. Okay. All right. I'm going to just briefly color in Jack Nicholson. Actually, I think my favorite Jack Nicholson movie was Chinatown. Do you guys have a favorite Jack Nicholson movie? No, he hasn't been in a movie for a while. So if you guys are younger, you might not have seen anything that he's in. But Chinatown was, it's an upsetting movie. It's pretty intense, but he was really, really good in that film. Or actually, you know, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That's a great film. The acting in that film is incredible. So yeah. I think for me, I probably liked Chinatown more than, I mean, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is sort of an upsetting film. It's not very easy to watch. I mean, I don't mind movies that are intense, but it's like I have to be in the right mood because it's hard to watch movies like that. Okay, so I got Jack. Okay, does everybody see this bottom of the post? Now, this is on a vanishing line. I don't think I have it, so I'm actually not going to make it that dark right now. I'm just going to do that knowing that I'm probably going to have to erase it. And, oh, wait. Guys, I think I got to fix this. Okay, look at this. See Jack's foot? You see this? This is this spatial interval, way too big. Okay, and you know how else I knew that? Was because I was looking at the 2 women. I don't know if they're women, but I'm just going to call them women. I knew that the 2 women were here because there's this like little patch. But then I was like, but wait a minute. This is the edge of the post, and I still have all this extra space. So actually, this is the edge of the post. Oh, man, I got to move the post like all the way over to the right. See, like, this is why there's no point in the beginning of a drawing and making something look good, because like I just ended up totally changing it. Okay, so if that's that, then that also means I got to move this over as well, like that, and then that also moves this. Okay, so now this is the bottom of the post. There's this little like piece of trim. I don't think this is right in terms of perspective, but I'm just going to leave it there until I can go in with the string and fix it. Okay, so that also means I got to move up the planner. It's like a total domino effect. Like you fix one thing, you got to fix everything else. Okay, so there's the post. And this actually goes all the way off the top. So we're just going to leave it like that. Okay, so that's getting a little bit better. I'm just going to make that a little bit more like that. Let me just make this a little bit less bright. I think, whoops, that way you guys can see a little bit better. That was a little bit too dark. Yes, Blue Wolf. Jack Nicholson wasn't as good as it gets. Yeah, was that the movie with, I think Greg Kinnear was in it? I love Greg Kinnear. He's so funny. Well, mostly I love Greg Kinnear because of Little Miss Sunshine. Oh my God, that is like the funniest movie because I love really dry, sarcastic humor. And that is like the dry, sarcastic humor film. Yeah. I want to say thank you so much to Fab Geek for the super sticker. We greatly appreciate your support. You guys are great. I mean, Art Prof really, the heart of what we do is in the community. I mean, you guys are the people that make our program what it is, because we really make stuff in response to what you guys tell us you need. I mean, sometimes I'm like, oh, it'd be fun to do this, but then I'm like, oh, but people are asking me for this. So, you know, keep those suggestions coming, you guys, because it's so incredibly helpful to have your feedback and all of this stuff. My favorite part, Angie, a Little Miss Sunshine, is that opening scene when they have this like really tense family dinner and the grandfather is so grouchy and he's like yelling about the chicken and the mother's all stressed, and oh my god, that is just, I feel like watching that movie now. Okay, all right, so let's see what else I can get in here. All right, I do need to get this more prominent, and then actually there's like a whole other set of patterns down here like that. Okay, and then does everybody see the middle part of this circular shape? I sort of see a vanishing line that's coming down like this. It's not totally straight down, like it's a little bit tilted. And the reason I want to do that is because there's this like diamond pattern. And I can see that the middle of the diamond is on that vanishing line. So I'm going to approximate. Yeah, so actually each center of the diamond is on a vanishing line, and actually the other one is underneath his foot. So I'm just going to approximate these diamond shapes. I mean, they're not going to be correct, but I'm just going to put them in there and then fix them. You guys, this is the theme. Draw it badly and then fix it. That's the theme, okay? All right. Okay, now I think I'm ready to do some fixing with the push pin. Okay, so let's approximate where we think it is. Okay, so if there's that, I need to look at the photo. I can't just do it looking at my drawing. All right, I'm gonna go with these two lines. Does everybody see these two? These are the two vanishing lines that I'm really going to rely on to help me find my vanishing point. So this one, I'm going to approximate it. I guess it's about, I think it's about there. Let me just push it in there. Let's see if that actually works. So I'm just going to move it around. Okay, we have there. That goes, okay, this was wonky. I didn't draw that one quite well. Okay, now here's where some of the vanishing lines, they're harder to see. So let me just really point this out for you guys, okay? So do you see the top of this post? Okay, it's a little hard to see, but there is a little tiny bit of a vanishing line on this post. So if I draw the side of this, okay, oops, that's on a vanishing line, and this is on a vanishing line. Okay, just these two little spots, like they're tiny, but they're on vanishing lines. And so that's what I want to compare. Okay, so now I'll go through and I'll mark it with blue so you guys can see. So this is on a vanishing line. And if I come up here, let's see. Oops, it's a little bit hard to see. Okay. So does everybody see that? That's on a vanishing line and that's on a vanishing line. I'm going to do the same thing with the second post. And actually, the second post, you can barely see it. It's tiny, tiny, tiny. In theory, if I did that, it's like here. It's so, so small. Like that little piece of the vanishing line, it's barely there. Okay? The one I need to resolve, though, is this bottom section. Oops, crap. Okay. So if this is my section that's near Jack's leg, I'm just going to make it a little bit darker so I can see it. Okay, and let's just pull it all the way out like that. See, the string to me is so much easier and so much faster. And it's less precise. Like I feel that when I have a ruler, like I feel like it should be precise. But the thing is, I don't like it being precise. I don't know if that makes any sense. Okay, let's do. Okay, so I think, let me use a darker, I'll use the blue again so you guys can see better. And then if I come up here, okay. And then does everybody see this? This is a perfect horizontal, this section here. Okay, because remember, in 1-point perspective, all of your horizontals and all of your verticals, they're all parallel. That's not the case in 2-point. This is very specific to 1-point, okay? All right. I just noticed something funky on this side, so let me try to fix it. I think it has to do with the waiter's leg. The leg might need to go a little bit more to the left, but first let me just throw down this post so we have that like really in place. Okay, so if I look at the waiter, see, here's the thing. If you look at the post, this should be underneath that. So if I draw this, just toss that in. Okay, if that's about, oh, I guess it's the angle of the waiter's leg. It's more like that. Yeah, I'm just trying to see like, okay, the waiter's leg, the vanishing line, and then the post. Actually, I think it should be, is it right? Oh, it is almost right on the post. So let me just, yeah. Okay, so the waiter's here. This is his leg. Okay, and then remember that this horizontal line is like right underneath the waiter as well. I mean, in some ways, I feel like this is even more about relationships than even anatomy, which sounds strange, but I mean, this is so much about that, you guys. Okay, and I'm going to approximate the cylinder. It's bigger than I had it early on, just like that. Okay, and then this one, I also do want to make this one a little bit bolder, like that. Okay. All right, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Charisma says, something that's been helping me is making thumbnail boxes for the picture to be contained in. Just makes more sense. Yeah, I mean, sometimes having that edge of where the picture ends can be a nice reference. Charmaine says, how can I determine the width of the wall as it gets closer to the vanishing point? It's hard for me to know exactly which part you're pointing to, Charmaine. It may be something you have to show me in the Discord because it's so impossible to describe exactly which place. Joe says, do I always have to stab my drawing with a pin? Poor drawing. I have to learn. Well, so here's the thing, Joe, okay? Remember, these are working drawings. Like this is not, we're not sending this up to the Metropolitan in New York. And you guys have to do a lot of crappy drawings if you want to get good at this. And honestly, I think a little pin in there is not going to kill you. I mean, if it really bothers you, switch to a ruler. That's also fine. And Jasmine's asking, what about the hole? How to fix that or just for practice? Yeah, just for practice. Guys, this is all, I am not trying to make something look good right now. And I had to do a lot of these before I felt like I had any grip on what was going on. I'm actually going to move my drawing down. I just got to make sure this angle is good. Okay. Let's get in and start really emphasizing something so this starts to look more like a drawing. So squinting, let's take a look at what needs to get in here. I think what I want to do is really block in these windows back here because these are really dark and full of contrast. And I'm looking at the shape. Everybody see the shape? Like there's a chair here, but the actual shape that I'm seeing looks like this to me. So this is like negative space that I'm seeing behind that chair, like that. So right now, I'm not really doing perspective as much as I am just picking, okay, what parts of the architecture are going to help me make the scene make sense? So tell me in the chat, what are some of the parts of this scene that you think would help you get things in place? Like what are the landmarks that you're looking for? So for me, I think definitely the top of this. And this is such a specific shape. Like, does everybody see how here? Oh, I think I didn't make that wide enough. Yeah, that's way too thin. Okay, I'm actually going to move the drapery over here. Oh, does that mean I have to move the waiter? I have to move him back a little bit. Okay, so here's that like very distinctive shape of the curtain. And here's those like closed doors. And then I really want to let this be very solid. Like this bottom section's got to like sit really visibly. Okay, and then I just want to get like the silhouette of the drape. And then do you guys see this? Okay, so the waiter's here and he's got like a maroon outfit. I would say his pants are pretty dark. That looks good. I wonder what he's serving. I love going to a hotel. It's just the greatest thing. Like I feel like half the time when I go on a trip, half the trip is the hotel. It's like the best. I'm like, oh my God, just not having to do laundry. It's the greatest thing. It's like dream come true. Okay, so does everybody see? Here's the waiter. And then do you guys see there's a little bit of brown? This little brown shape that's in between the waiter and the post. Like I really just drew what's around the post, but by doing so, the post looks more believable. So it's like a lot of people would assume, okay, you just got to draw the post. But no, actually drawing some of the windows and some of the architecture around the post is maybe actually giving you more information. All right, it's quite a bit of back there. Okay. And same thing here. There again, like this is the same railing, the same like trim. And I can see it comes down by the drapery. So actually, I'm going to just color sort of like a buttery, what is that, Naples yellow? That's probably what Alex wrote would say. Oh, you guys are going to be so excited. So we ordered the equipment for the TAs so they can do draw-alongs. And I did a test with Alex, and I did one with Lauren, and it was very exciting. I was like, oh my God, we're finally going to get you guys on a draw-along. I was like very, very excited. So very soon, Lauren is going to do a draw-along with Jordan. She's going to do markers, and they're going to do patterns and clothing, and Alex is going to do gouache. I think with Deepti, I think they're planning on doing caricatures. It's very exciting, you guys. It took a while. I mean, you need to be trained to use the equipment correctly. And I know a lot of people think, oh, it's so easy. It's not, you guys. It's really hard. I mean, Alex was like finagling the webcam for like a good hour until he had it all worked out. Okay. I feel like I'm holding my paper crooked. Let me hold it. Is that more? Oh, is that crooked? I think I made this a little crooked. That's okay. Just fix that up. And you guys, if this is the working drawing and you're putting holes in it, you're doing all these things, guess what? Who cares how it comes out? Just stop caring about that. This is, you guys, you need to watch Kathy Speranza's tutorial if you didn't watch it already, because what she said, I think she's so right about this. She said, you either learn or you perform. She said, you cannot do both. And you guys, that makes so much sense to me. Because if you're performing, you don't really have the headspace to learn because you're focusing on the performing. But the thing is, if you're learning, all your energy is going into the learning, so you're not going to perform. So if you guys think about it like that, you say, am I going to learn or am I going to perform? Which is the one that I'm going to do? And you can do them whenever you want. You can decide, okay, you know what? I just want to perform right now. And I don't want to learn right now. I just want to perform. All right. I think I lost my planter. All right. Now what I'm going to do, I guess I need to make those two women in the, I see like a little trash can. Is that behind Jack Nicholson? I think it is. Okay, I'm just going to give him like a little bit more articulation. I mean, this is not really like about making a good drawing, but I just, in terms of proportions, I want this to make a little more sense. Actually, it's helping that his jacket is pulling out. I'll just make the hand a little bit smaller. At the very least, so that way the gesture is in there. And you can get a sense of him being like in the space. Yeah, his coat is pretty dramatic, and you can see some of the folds in here. Okay. Hey, it looks like he's walking through the lobby, right? All right, I got to add a little bit more of these chandeliers because they are prominent. And actually, this trim in the background, I'm going to make it a little thicker. It's more like an orangey burnt sienna tone. Pull it up there like that. Okay. Let's get the top of this chandelier going. Okay, now I'm smudging all over the place. I'm not that worried about that because there's other things that are more important right now. But what I am going to do is go in and just like re-solidify some of these, like this red shape that's like behind Jack Nicholson's foot. I just want to like bring it back. Actually, let me switch to another red. I think that'll make it easier. Like this. Okay. It does help to have color, I think, when you're doing such a complicated space. I think sometimes the color just helps you a little bit with contrast. Okay, and I really want, oh crap, that just broke. Another one. You know, it's very interesting, you guys. I was thinking today, and I want to write about this, actually, because I think this is pretty interesting. So when I was in the brick and mortar classroom, I just always assumed that teaching in person was better. That was just a given. That's what I thought. But I was just thinking today, there's a lot of stuff I'm doing now for Art Prof, content-wise, that I never did for my in-person students. So one thing I never, ever did when I was in person, I never did a drawing from beginning to end, ever. I would always just demo, do it for like 15 minutes tops, and then I'd say, okay, everybody go draw. I never showed them the entire process from beginning to end, because when they're there and they're in class, I want to be helping them. I want to be walking around and talking to them about their stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. But I was thinking today, I was like, you know, that's actually pretty handy to get a demo that's from beginning to end. And I'm like, you know, that really was a good thing. And you know what else is hilarious? Oh God, I should share this in the link in the Discord afterwards. You guys will find this so funny. So, you know, the stream that I did recently, the one that's about 1 and 2 point linear perspective. I mean, that slideshow took so long because it's 1,000 charts and everything. And so one of the things I did to save just like a little bit of time is I went back to my old RISD illustration linear perspective slideshows, because they're still sitting in my Google Drive. And I started cutting and pasting some of the diagrams and everything. And I looked at that slideshow after I finished the new one, and I was like, oh my God, this old slideshow from RISD, it's so boring. Like the visuals were so, I was like, this is the most dry lecture and visual presentation. How could I have made my presentations this boring? And I realized, I was like, wow, because of Art Prof, I've really upped my game in terms of presentations. Like my diagrams are a lot more clear, they're a lot more fun. They have Benedict and Hugh and Michael Fassbender. I was like, dude, my slideshows are so much better than they ever were when I was teaching in person. And so I was thinking, I was like, you know, nobody can say that in-person teaching is just automatically better than online, because I'm definitely doing stuff now that I never did when I taught at RISD. So I'll share that link to that slideshow. You guys will just cry at how boring that slideshow is. Oh, I forgot there's a little chandelier back here. Let's add that. Okay, so I'm just adding maybe a few more spots back here, just so I don't lose. Oh, and you know what else? There's another vanishing line here. So let me go back to, oh, where is it? Oh, here we go. Okay. I want to put, there's another one. I think it's behind Jack Nicholson. It's like about here. Is that right? Okay. I think it's about, is that it? Yeah. So it's like a line like this. This is really handy because like this line is just coming out of nowhere. Like it's really hard to see where that fits. So it's really nice to have that. I think I made that too dark. I don't want it to be quite so prominent. Hold the Bacon says, Prof, you're the best teacher I've ever had. You're so lighthearted and upbeat. You make me want to be a better student. My art is improving. Thank you so much for creating Art Prof. Well, that is so great to hear. Guys, I never get tired of it. Tell me every time you guys learn something, every time you guys look at things just like a little bit differently, I'm like, my job's done. That's great. I'm not saying I'm going to stop. I'm just saying keep it coming. I love it. I love hearing about your progress. Charmaine says, am I using watercolor pencils in today's stream? I'm not. The materials that I'm using these. They're pastel pencils. And by the way, you guys, if you want the art supply links, they're in the YouTube video description below. That's pretty much the case for all of our videos. You guys can find that. And also the links to the reference photos and the slideshow that has all these diagrams, the ones that I'm showing you today, these are all in the video description below. Oh, and I should show you guys the breakdown for this image. Okay, so this is the reference photo. And now let's put all the stuff on top. You guys see that? So this is your cheat sheet. If you're drawing, I've already figured all this out. So basically the eye level is just about Jack Nicholson. So let's say if I'm in the scene, I'm about the same. I'm like 1 inch shorter than him, but that's pretty much what we're looking at there. All right, let's see what else people are saying in the chat. Oh, this is a good suggestion. Angie says, you can always use drafting dots instead of a push pin. I use them with floss. Oh, this is smart. Blue Wolf says, what about using a small piece of kneaded eraser with a string embedded? You would have to use a light touch for the string not to come out. Yeah, try it. I mean, whatever you guys think is going to work. Trent says, when I'm learning, in the back of my mind, I think maybe I can post this to Instagram. I'm trying to get rid of that mindset. Oh my God, I think we all do that. I mean, I hate that that thought goes through my head, but it does. And the thing is with Art Prof, I'm always like, oh, this is a crappy drawing I did. That's a teachable moment. And so it's like even worse for me sometimes, because even if the drawing is really bad, I'm always like, oh, but maybe people could learn from this. And yeah, it's hard to feel that anything is truly private as far as our artwork goes, because there is so much pressure on people to be posting and sharing on a regular basis. This is a great comment from Emily. I work on a comic, and so had to be in perform mode all the time. Over Christmas, I took a break. It was amazing how much I learned in that time. Yeah, and it's okay for you guys to split that up, to say, okay, this week, I'm not going to learn. I'm just going to perform. That's fine. And you can say, you know what, I'm done with performing. Let's just learn for a little while. So however you guys want to do that. Vince is asking, what about the reflection on the ceiling? How would you approach this? You know what? Let's do it, Vince. Okay, here we go. Because people had been asking me earlier about how to do lighting for a linear perspective. Okay, this is where, wow, chalk pastels are so fun. Okay, watch this, you guys. This is going to be so fun. So I'm just going to go in, and I'm just going to pop in highlights wherever I see them. And oh, this is so fun, you guys. Look at this. Because you have this like reflective surface. And then I can use this. I mean, I love this stuff. I love putting in like bright highlights wherever I can. It just, oh my God, it feels so good. Like this is like, I live for this. I live for putting that one dot in the middle of an eye when I'm doing a portrait. So yes, this is so fun for me. Okay, and what I'm going to do, you can see some parts of the ceiling are lighter, but actually the chandelier here is like really bright. Actually, and there's two candles that are like lower, and then these other ones here. Oops, crap, I just got all that crumbly stuff on top. Okay, here we go. I mean, this is one of the reasons I wanted to use chalk pastel, so I could do effects like this. Like, I think a lot of people would think, oh, well, if you're doing perspective, you should get a ruler, you should get a mechanical pencil. Like, most people would not think to do chalk pastel for something like this. But I'm like, dude, I got to put lighting in here. Like, if I don't have something that's going to help me do that lighting, it's going to be really hard. Oh my gosh, there's a lot back here. So there's like another chandelier back here and even more highlights. I mean, it makes sense. If you think about a hotel, there's so many lights and reflective surfaces all over the place. And actually, oh guys, this is gonna be fun. Check this out. Ah, yeah. I live for this. This is so fun. Oh my God. See, look at this. So we have the lighting, but the thing is, you guys, the light, the way it's coming into this space has nothing to do with linear perspective. It's a separate thing. So does everybody see how I'm doing the reflection onto the floor? Because it's a very glossy, very bright floor. I mean, in theory, if I had a lot of time, I would go in and I would draw all these patterns and everything. But I just want you guys to see like how these things interact with each other. And actually here you can sort of see the reflection of the waiter's leg. So like his leg sort of comes down like this. Okay, and then, oh, you know what we should do? Let's color these more orangey, because then I can do even more with the reflections. So just some brief bits like this. And now you can take this and bring this down. So now you can see like the reflection of the post. And this is all very dark. So actually, hang on, this is all orange. I mean, like, that's why this post is so important. It's gigantic. But not only is it gigantic, you also have like the shadow that's down here. So you, like here, you can really see like the plane. Actually, I need something darker than that. That's not really dark enough. Okay, so if I try to like emphasize, see that plane, I think that's not so straight. Let's try to get that more. Okay. Let's do some more, like there's this very bright highlight that comes behind there. More chandeliers. See, like the chandelier thing, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but do you guys see how the shift of scale and the chandeliers shows the depth? Because look, this chandelier up here, it's a lot bigger than the ones that are like way back in the distance. Okay, and now behind Jack's foot and back here, and then, oh, this is great. Look at this. See this highlight? So this does a couple things. It gives you a highlight here, and it also creates this shadow reflection of that post. So because we have that, look at this. Oh, that's so fun. I love that. Let's make this darker. It's a little bit too light. So if I get in maybe some of this black, and this is an area I'm really going to make it more clear because it's like so much in the foreground. And actually, I should come back and do the same thing here too. So this is a little bit better grounded. Gotta squint some more. I'm not totally sure everything's as straight as it should be. I mean, I'd have to go back in and fix it, but I'm just trying to like really place this post. So actually, I think I gotta go in here. Let's see how that looks. Okay, a little bit more. Like down here, patch of highlight. Even coming up this way into the distance. And I'll do more on the ceiling as well. So at the very least, this sort of shows you guys how you get the linear perspective in. You start to overlay some of the highlights in there. Let's make Jack a little bit darker. I think he's not popping the way he should. If I just get in some basic strokes, let's really get his hair in place like that. And same thing, the waiter. Let's give the waiter, he's got this like, ooh, shoot, that red is not working. This arm like that. What happened to my black? There it is. This. I just want the waiter to pop a little bit more. He's a little bit hard to see right now. So inevitably what happens, you guys, is the more you work on things, the more you start to lose certain areas. Like there were other areas earlier that I was like, oh, those are fine. But the thing is now I've lost them again. So I got to put them back. Like these little sconces that are on the side. Want a little more. So like here before, these looked fine, but now they look like they don't have very good contrast to me. So I'm just going in and doing another pass. And his foot disappeared. So that's more the direction I want it to go in. I think it's a little bright. Let me make it a bit darker so you guys can see better. Whoops. It's a little too much. Pump up the contrast. Let's see. Ayane is asking, are you going to put it full color or have it be more abstract in color? I mean, I don't have plans for this because I'm just doing a demo. But I mean, in theory, I probably would go in and do all the color. Ada Nabil says, I so owe you, Art Prof. I never thought I'd find such learning resources. Your clothing sessions with Jordan were so useful to apply on a piece of fan art. Well, I'll tell you, Ada, that's my hope, is that we give you guys the tools and then you take those tools and you make it work for you. Like, I'm not here for you guys to copy my stuff or draw like me. I want you to take the raw materials that we teach you and for you to make it yours. So that's great. I'm really excited to hear that. Well, so a lot of people are commenting, like Soitenly says, last color and reflections at the end make everything pop so much. But do you guys see how much went into for a while, it just looks like nothing is happening, right? And do you guys see how, yes, in theory, I mean, this is not remotely done yet, but if I go in here and let's just say I want to like pop out, just a little bit more of the perspective, because obviously some of it got lost and it definitely needs like way more articulation. But it's like, it's not hard for me to do it because it's in here. And ultimately, you guys don't want to draw those like generic cityscapes. Like, you want to draw a real place. This is a real place. And ultimately, you can see the linear perspective. It's just one piece of the recipe. The recipe has so many other parts to it. It's got lighting, it's got color, it's got the drapery. It's one piece of a gigantic puzzle. So don't tell yourself that the linear perspective has to take over everything. That's important. By the way, you guys, I mentioned a book in the last stream, and this is the book that I had mentioned that has a lot of stuff on linear perspective. This is the book that I taught linear perspective to myself. If you guys missed this, I agreed to teach a class on linear perspective, knowing that I didn't know linear perspective. I was like, okay, Clara, you got some summer work to do. But anyway, this is a really great book. It covers everything in drawing. It's by Fritz Drury and Joanne Stryker. And you know what's funny about this book? I'm in it because Fritz was my professor at RISD, and he asked me to put one of my drawings in here. I don't remember what page I'm on. But anyway, I think there's 2 of my drawings in here. It's a really cool book because he has a lot of historical sections like Alberto Giacometti, but then he also has like a lot of student stuff. But if you guys want to do the perspective stuff, I mean, there's also tons of anatomy in here too. So this is also really good. But for those of you guys who were asking about cylinders and ellipses, the whole linear perspective stuff in here does explain that. I just can't remember what page it's on. Yeah, like this is the whole, these are my lessons. This is how I learned to do linear perspective. So these are the basics. I feel like there's a section, I can't remember. Anyway, you guys can look this up. It is available on Amazon. I'm not sure that it's in print anymore, but I know for sure you can get a used version. I got it for free because I'm in it. But anyway, this is a really cool book. It's a great reference book just in general, not even just for linear perspective. All right. Miss Frezia says, I believe it's perfect at this point. I mean, no need for more colors. Blue Wolf says, it started like a, quote, gesture drawing of an interior space. Then things started getting fleshed out. Yeah, I mean, here's what I think. Every drawing, in my opinion, no matter how long you spend on it, 1,000 hours, 5 hours, 2 hours, it should all start with a gesture. It doesn't matter if you're drawing a frog or a unicorn or the Shining Hotel. I think it's called Overlook. I can't remember what's the name of the hotel. But anyway, you guys, that's really what it comes down to. Guys, please join me in the Art Prof Discord. I will be hanging out in the Art Alongs channel. The invite link is in the YouTube video description below. Subscribe to the Art Prof YouTube channel so you can continue to grow and develop as an artist. And I want to say a big thank you to our top Patreon supporters. You guys are so incredibly important in terms of giving us the support we need to keep Art Prof up and running. So everybody, thank you so much for your contributions. We could not do this without you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.